The hidden legacy. For centuries, Earth had been the most overlooked planet in the galaxy. To the galactic empires, humanity was nothing more than a minor species, weak and unworthy of attention. The mighty fleets of the galaxy passed by Earth. Without a second thought, they were too busy with their wars, their alliances, and their endless expansion. Earth had no place in their grand designs. But Earth was hiding something the galaxy didn't know. And it was about to be revealed. In a secret military base, deep beneath the surface of the Earth, something stirred. A hidden discovery that had been locked away for centuries was slowly waking up. The facility, once a place of research, had now become something far more dangerous, a vault holding the galaxy's most powerful secret. Sarah Calloway, a young but highly respected officer in the Earth Defense Force, had always known there was something strange about the old base. She had heard rumors of the research done there, but the details were kept from her. The base was isolated and access was restricted to only the highest levels of the military. But Sarah was about to learn the truth. One morning, as she stood before her superior, General Michael Torres, she was handed a strange file. It was classified, marked with the highest security clearance. "You'll need to see this," General Torres said quietly, motioning for Sarah to sit down. "What is it, sir?" Sarah asked, flipping through the file, her curiosity growing. "The base beneath Mount Everest," the general began. "It wasn't just a research facility. It was where Earth's most powerful warships were hidden." Sarah's eyes widened. "Warships? But Earth doesn't have warships," the general nodded, a grim look on his face. "That's what we thought. But the truth is, centuries ago, Earth had a fleet that was far more advanced than anything the galaxy has seen, and it's been waiting, hidden beneath the Earth, for the right moment to awaken." The files detailed the history of the fleet, an ancient human empire that had long since disappeared, leaving behind only relics. Earth's ancestors had once built warships so powerful they could rival the mightiest fleets of the galaxy. These ships had been hidden away, left in stasis to protect them from the growing threats of the universe. "But why hasn't anyone told us?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Because we were never meant to know," General Torres replied. "The galaxy, every empire we've ever encountered, would never have allowed us to develop such power. They believed humanity was too weak to wield it." Sarah was silent for a moment. The implications of this revelation were enormous. The galaxy had underestimated Earth for so long, and now they were about to find out just how wrong they were. The general continued, "It's time we woke them up. The warships are dormant, but their systems are still intact. It's a matter of time before we activate them. The galaxy won't know what hit them." Sarah stood up, her mind racing. The warships were older than any empire, yet they were still capable of unimaginable power. What kind of technology had humanity hidden away for so long? What kind of threat had Earth's ancestors faced? And why had they hidden their power from the rest of the galaxy? With a determined look in her eyes, Sarah knew there was no turning back. The moment had come to reveal Earth's true strength. She was chosen to lead the team that would activate the ancient fleet. As she descended into the deep underground facility, her thoughts were filled with both excitement and uncertainty. What would they find inside the hidden vault? What was left of the ancient ships? And how would they respond to human commands after so long in stasis? The underground facility was cold and silent, the air thick with the scent of old technology and forgotten history. As Sarah and her team walked down the narrow, dimly lit hallways, they reached a large chamber the size of a football field. The walls were lined with advanced computers, and in the center of the room stood enormous, towering warships, their sleek, metallic surfaces gleaming under the artificial lights. "They're incredible," one of her team members whispered in awe. Sarah's eyes widened as she gazed at the ships. They were far beyond anything Earth had ever built. Each one seemed to hum with a quiet, powerful energy, as though it were alive, waiting for someone to awaken it. "Prepare the systems," Sarah ordered. "Let's see if we can bring them back to life." As the team worked to activate the ships, the quiet hum of the ancient technology began to grow louder. The warships started to stir, their engines powering up, lights flickering on as the systems came online. It was as if the ships themselves recognized that they were being awakened. And then, as the final systems clicked into place, the ships came to life, their once dormant weapons systems powering up, ready for action. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. This was it. Earth's hidden power had been revealed. The galaxy had no idea what was coming, and it was only a matter of time before they would see what humanity was truly capable of. The galaxy had underestimated Earth for far too long now. Humanity's true legacy was about to unfold. The awakening silence of the underground facility was broken by the sudden hum of energy, growing steadily as the ancient warships came to life. The room seemed to pulse with power, and Sarah Calloway couldn't help but feel a shiver run down her spine. It was as though the ships were breathing once more. Reawakening after centuries of slumber, she stared at the towering machines, her heart pounding in her chest. Humanity had waited so long for this moment, and now it was here. Sarah's team worked quickly, inputting commands into the terminal in front of her. The screens flickered, showing vital signs of the ship's systems coming online, but there was something more, something beyond mere technology. It was as though the ships had been waiting for her command, ready to obey the will of the human race. Is everything stable? Sarah asked her lead technician, Lieutenant Mendez. His fingers flying over the console didn't take his eyes off the screen. Yes, Commander, all systems are functioning. These ships are different. They're far beyond anything we've ever seen, but they're alive, Sarah. They're awake. Sarah stepped forward, her eyes scanning the giant warships. The gleaming metal of their hulls reflected the harsh lights of the underground chamber. They were elegant, almost alive in their design, sleek lines, sharp angles, and powerful weapons systems embedded deep within the frame. But there was something else. Something Sarah couldn't explain. It wasn't just the technology that was advanced. It was their presence. The room was electric with potential. It's time to make history. Sarah whispered, her voice steady. Prepare the fleet. We're taking them to the surface. The team's excitement was palpable as they moved quickly to prepare for launch. Sarah had made it clear that there was no going back. This was the moment when humanity would show the galaxy that it was no longer the weak, helpless planet they once thought it was. Earth had a hidden power, and it was ready to reveal itself. As the fleet made its way to the surface, Sarah looked out at the team, each one busy at their console, each one aware of the magnitude of what they were about to do. The ships hummed, the air vibrating with energy as they slowly ascended, breaking through the Earth's surface and into the open skies above. Outside, the sky was bright with the early morning sun, casting long shadows over the barren landscape of the launch site. The vast expanse of space awaited them, and Sarah's heart raced as she took one last look at the massive ships, their engines now firing up, their weapon systems powered and ready. We're in the air, said Lieutenant Mendez, his voice tight with excitement. Shall we proceed, Commander? Sarah's gaze swept across the fleet. The ships were like nothing she had ever seen. They were more than just machines. They were a symbol of humanity's strength, a testament to everything Earth had hidden away for centuries, and now those secrets were about to be shared with the galaxy. Proceed, Sarah said, her voice firm, filled with resolve. The ships began their journey, soaring into space. The surface of Earth faded behind them as they entered orbit. The view of the planet, beautiful and fragile, was a reminder of everything humanity had fought to protect. But it was also a reminder of the power Earth had been hiding, and now that power was fully awake. Back in the galactic capital, the Galactic Council had no idea what was happening. For centuries, they had dismissed Earth as a backwater planet, one that posed no threat. They were too busy with their own conflicts, their own political games, to even consider that Earth might have been hiding something. But now, the message was being sent. Earth was ready to reveal its strength. The news came as a shock to the Galactic Council. A faint signal originating from the far edge of the galaxy reached their fleet commanders. The message was brief but clear. Humanity has awakened. Earth's hidden fleet is coming. The council leaders gathered around their enormous holographic table, their eyes wide with disbelief. For a long time, Earth had been a joke, an unimportant planet in the grand scheme of the galaxy. But now, as the reality of Earth's new power began to sink in, their confidence began to falter. Counselor Zarnuk, a tall, armored figure, was the first to speak. What is this? Earth ready to challenge us? His voice was low, almost a growl. How could they have hidden this for so long? Counselor Tella, a quick-witted Exilin, was less surprised. This is no accident. Earth has always had potential, but they've kept it secret. This is a serious threat. What do we do? Another counselor asked, voice trembling with uncertainty. We've underestimated them for so long, and now they're awake. What if they're more powerful than we imagined? Zarnik slammed his fist onto the table. We prepare for war. They will not surprise us again. We will crush them before they have a chance to strike back on Earth's fleet. Sarah stood in the command center of the lead warship. She could feel the weight of her decision pressing down on her. The warships were powerful, but humanity had only just begun to learn how to use them, yet there was no turning back now. Earth had already made its choice. The galaxy would no longer ignore them. As the fleet approached the edge of the galaxy, the stars ahead seemed to grow brighter, the unknown stretching out before them. The ships hummed with energy, ready to unleash everything they had. And as Sarah Calloway gazed at the vastness ahead, she knew one thing for certain: the galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. The first strike. The moment Earth's ancient warships entered the vast expanse of space, the galaxy held its breath. For centuries, humanity had been seen as nothing more than a primitive species, too weak to pose a serious threat. But as Sarah Calloway watched her fleet stretch out before her, she realized that the game had changed. Earth was no longer the underdog, it was now the power to reckon with. On board the lead warship, the Eclipse, Sarah stood at the command center, her fingers poised over the controls. The lights in the room dimmed as the fleet moved toward its target, a galactic outpost that had long dismissed Earth's warnings. It was a small, strategic location, a perfect starting point for the Earth's return to power. But Sarah knew the galaxy's reaction would be immediate. This strike wasn't just a demonstration of force. It was a statement. The target was a communications relay station in a distant system, a crucial part of the galaxy's military network. Taking it out would send a message to the Galactic Council that Earth wasn't here to negotiate. The warning had been sent. Now, Earth would show them what it was capable of. Ready the weapons, Sarah said, her voice calm but filled with determination. The crew quickly followed her orders, preparing the ancient weapons systems on the Eclipse. The ships in Earth's fleet were unlike anything the galaxy had seen, sleek, with organic curves, and imbued with ancient energy that hummed through their hulls. The ships themselves seemed alive, as if they were an extension of Earth's will. Each ship was a masterpiece of design and technology, but it was the raw, untapped power of these warships that made them so deadly. Firing in 3, 2, 1. Lieutenant Mendez called from the weapons station. The Eclipse unleashed its first strike, a massive pulse of energy that sliced through the silence of space. The weapon was like nothing the galaxy had ever encountered, a concentrated beam of raw power, capable of disrupting the very fabric of enemy shields. The first shot hit the station's defensive grid, and in a matter of seconds, the shields collapsed, leaving the station vulnerable. Earth's fleet moved in, its ships gliding effortlessly through space, evading fire from the station's defenses. First target down, Mendez reported, his voice steady. But the station wasn't the only thing to fall that day. As the fleet moved closer to the center of the galaxy, Earth's ships began to dismantle the galactic military presence piece by piece. The first wave of strikes was surgical and precise, with no collateral damage to innocent planets or civilian ships. Earth wasn't here to conquer, it was here to show the galaxy that it could no longer ignore humanity's presence. The fleet's next target was a powerful warship in the outskirts of the system, one of the few remaining Galactic Council ships. Left unscathed by Earth's earlier attacks, it was a symbol of the galaxy's remaining power. Taking it out would send the strongest message yet. As the warship came into view, Sarah's hand hovered over the controls. She had a choice: strike with the full might of Earth's arsenal, or show restraint. A part of her knew that this was the moment Earth could prove itself, not through overwhelming force, but through calculated precision. She chose the latter. Focus fire on the engines, Sarah ordered. Disable them, but leave the ship intact. The Eclipse fired once more, the pulse of energy cutting through the void like a razor. The galactic warship's engines sputtered and the ship veered off course, now dead in space. Stranded and helpless, message sent, Sarah whispered to herself, watching the drifting warship. This wasn't about destroying the galaxy, it was about showing the galaxy that Earth was no longer a planet to be ignored. Humanity wasn't here for petty conquest, it had waited too long, hidden its strength for too many years. Now, Earth would not be pushed around again. Back in the Galactic Council chambers, the reaction was immediate and chaotic. Leaders from across the galaxy scrambled to make sense of what had just happened. The news was flooding in. Earth's fleet, powered by warships older than any known empire, had struck swiftly and decisively. The Council had received the first shockwave. Now, they had to decide whether to act in defense or risk total annihilation. Counselor Zarnuk, his face twisted with fury, slammed his fist down on the table. How could this happen? How could we have missed this? We've underestimated them for centuries. And now look what they've done. They've struck first, and we're left scrambling. Should we retaliate immediately? Counselor Tilla asked, her voice sharp, trying to keep her calm. This is no longer about negotiation. They've shown their hand. They're not interested in talks. They want war. Zarnuk shook his head. We need to understand more. The warships, they're unlike anything we've seen before. Earth has something we don't understand. We need to know what we're dealing with. Meanwhile, Sarah Calloway stood on the bridge of the Eclipse, watching the galaxy unravel in real time. She knew the galaxy's leaders were meeting right now, trying to decide what to do next. But she wasn't worried. Earth's message had been clear. Humanity was done being underestimated. Earth's strength was not just in the ships, but in its people, resilient, resourceful, and ready to fight for their place in the stars. The warships had awakened, and with them, humanity's future had changed forever. The galaxy reacts. The galaxy was in chaos. News of Earth's first strike had spread like wildfire. sending shockwaves through every corner of the known universe. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council felt fear they had never known, because no one had ever dared to challenge their dominance. Earth, a small, seemingly insignificant planet, had shattered their arrogance in the span of a few minutes. And now, the galaxy was scrambling to understand what was happening. In the vast chambers of the Galactic Council, the leaders of every major empire gathered for an emergency session. Their faces were grim, and the usual air of superiority had been replaced by a quiet panic. The once proud galactic empires, so accustomed to making decisions in a calm, confident manner, now found themselves at a loss for answers. Counselor Zarnik, whose towering presence once instilled fear in those around him, paced the room, his mind racing. "We have to stop them before they do more damage," he muttered, more to himself than to the others. "Earth's weapons, we've never seen anything like them. Those warships, they don't just carry advanced technology, they carry power. The kind of power that could threaten everything we've built." Counselor Tilla, one of the sharpest minds on the council, was far more composed, but her eyes betrayed her concern. "We cannot afford to underestimate Earth. We've dismissed them for too long. And now they have the means to cripple us." She paused, looking around the room at her fellow counselors. "We need to mobilize. We need to prepare for a fight." Another counselor, a member of the powerful Voltrix species, spoke up, his voice filled with urgency. "If Earth can mobilize that quickly, what else do they have? What else have they been hiding from us all this time? And how many more of those ancient warships do they possess?" Zarnik slammed his fist onto the table. "We need answers. I want a full-scale investigation into every corner of Earth's territory. If they have more of these warships, we need to know now, and if they do, we need to stop them before they're able to launch a second wave." A quiet murmur of agreement spread through the room, but none of the counselors seemed certain. The reality of the situation was settling in. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, and Earth was now a force to be reckoned with. The question was no longer whether Earth could challenge the galaxy, it was whether the galaxy could survive Earth's challenge. Meanwhile, far from the council's debates, Sarah Calloway stood on the bridge of the eclipse, watching as her fleet gathered in orbit. Her mission was far from over. In fact, it was only beginning. The first strike had sent a clear message to the galaxy, but Sarah knew that Earth couldn't afford to stop there. Earth had been underestimated for too long now. Earth needed to assert its place among the stars. The eclipse was now surrounded by the fleet of ancient warships, each one powered up and ready for the next phase of the plan. The hum of the ship's energy systems filled the air, and Sarah could feel the weight of responsibility pressing on her shoulders. She wasn't just leading a fight for survival, she was leading humanity's fight for its rightful place in the universe. "Commander, we're receiving signals from the Galactic Council," Lieutenant Mendez reported, his voice filled with a hint of awe. "They want to negotiate. They say they want peace talks." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "Peace talks after everything that's happened?" Her voice was low, filled with a mix of disbelief and determination. "No, we're not negotiating with them, not after they've dismissed us for so long. They had their chance. Now they'll learn that Earth is not to be taken lightly." "Shall I respond, Commander?" Mendez asked, looking to Sarah for direction. "No," Sarah replied firmly. "Tell them we've made our move. Earth is no longer just a planet in their system. It's a power they can't ignore. We'll show them the strength of humanity. And we won't stop until the galaxy understands." The crew in the command center stood silently as Sarah's words filled the room. They knew the stakes. The next move would define everything. Back in the galaxy's farthest reaches, the remaining fleets of the Galactic Empire were mobilizing. Their response to Earth's challenge was swift but desperate. The thought of Earth rising up had always been considered a fantasy, a laughable concept. But now, it was real, and the galaxy's military might, though vast, was not prepared for a war with a planet that had been hiding its true strength for so long. The first fleet to arrive in Earth's system was the Vortex, a massive warship, part of the galaxy's greatest fleet, commanded by Admiral Leorian, a seasoned and ruthless leader. The Vortex had one mission: to wipe out Earth's fleet before they could gain any more ground. "Prepare the weapons," Admiral Leorian ordered, his voice cold and commanding. "Earth will regret challenging the Empire." But what the Admiral didn't know was that Earth's warships were ready. The hidden fleet had already been tested in battle, and Sarah Calloway knew exactly how to deploy them. As the Vortex and its accompanying ships moved into Earth's space, Sarah had one simple command: engage. The first shots fired between the two fleets lit up the dark expanse of space. A chaotic burst of energy and power. Earth's warships moved like ghosts through the battlefield, dodging fire, weaving in and out with precision and agility. The Galactic Empire, though mighty, was slow to respond to Earth's swiftness. They were fighting an enemy they didn't understand. Sarah's fleet hit the Vortex first, unleashing a volley of concentrated energy blasts that struck the massive warship's shields. With devastating force, the vortex reeled from the impact. Its shields flickering, Earth's warships continued their assault, quick and brutal, overwhelming the enemy's defenses one by one. "Admiral, we're losing control," one of the officers aboard the vortex reported. His voice filled with panic. "Earth's fleet is too fast. We can't target them in time." "Hold your position," Admiral Leorian barked, but it was clear his orders were futile. The tide of battle was turning. As the vortex continued to suffer blow after blow, Sarah's voice rang through the command room. "This is Earth's time. Let's show them that we will no longer be the galaxy's forgotten planet." Asters, the clash of First Eclipse and its sister ships moved through space like shadows, their sleek, ancient designs cutting through the galaxy's defenses with unnerving ease. The first battle had been a decisive strike, a blow that sent ripples through the galaxy, but Sarah Calloway knew this was just the beginning. Earth had revealed its power, but the galaxy would not let that slide. The first wave of resistance had come and gone, but Earth's victory would not go unchallenged. The Galactic Empire had regrouped, and now they were bringing everything they had. The vortex had been badly damaged, but it wasn't the only ship. In the Empire's vast fleet, a new fleet, far larger and more powerful, had been dispatched to confront Earth's forces. This was the Empire's last chance to regain control, to show Earth that no planet, no matter how hidden its power, could challenge the galactic order. The tension in Earth's command center was palpable. The news came through the communication channels, loud and clear. The galaxy was preparing for a full-scale assault. A fleet of over 100 ships was now on its way, and it wasn't coming to talk. Sarah stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes fixed on the strategic maps of the galaxy. Her hands were steady, but her mind raced. The incoming fleet was formidable. But Sarah had no intention of backing down. Earth had been underestimated for too long. Now, it was time to prove that humanity could take on the galaxy and win. "Prepare for battle," Sarah said, her voice calm, though the weight of the situation hung over her. "We've seen what they can do, but they've never seen what we can do." As the ships in Earth's fleet shifted into position, the command center came alive with activity. Each officer, each crew member knew what was at stake. This wasn't just a fight for Earth's survival anymore, it was a fight for humanity's place in the galaxy. The enemy fleet arrived in the outer reaches of Earth's space, its ships massive and imposing. They came in a perfect formation, a display of the Galactic Empire's unshakable strength. The ships were adorned with banners of their empire, their weapons primed for destruction. They were ready for a fight, ready to crush what they believed to be a rebellion from a weak, insignificant planet. Admiral Leorian, still reeling from the damage the vortex had sustained, now commanded the largest warship in the galaxy, the Eclipse's counterpart. The Dominion, the Admiral's voice rang out across the fleet's communications channels, full of rage and defiance. "We will end this now. Earth will fall." The Dominion led the charge, firing its massive energy cannons at the first of Earth's warships. But Sarah Calloway had already anticipated this move. The Eclipse and the rest of the fleet immediately scattered, their movements a perfect dance of precision and strategy. Earth's ships were smaller and more agile than the Dominion and its fleet, and they used that advantage to devastating effect. Earth's first strike was fast and brutal. Their warships fired concentrated energy beams at the Dominion shields, each blast crackling with the raw power of Earth's ancient technology. The Dominion shook as the shields buckled under the pressure. But it wasn't enough to stop the onslaught. The Eclipse, followed by the fleet, moved in on the enemy ships from all sides, attacking with precision, cutting through the Empire's lines one ship at a time. As Sarah watched from the command center, the sense of urgency grew. The Dominion was trying to regroup, but Earth's warships were relentless. They had perfected the art of guerrilla warfare, outpacing and outsmarting their enemies. They didn't need to fight head-on, they could wear the enemy down until their confidence shattered. "We've got them on the ropes," Lieutenant Mendez reported, his voice full of excitement. "We've taken out 3 of their ships and their fleet is beginning to break formation." But Sarah wasn't satisfied. "No, we finished this. We show them that they are no match for Earth." Meanwhile, Admiral Leorian on the Dominion knew he had to act fast. His forces were crumbling. But he still had one last weapon at his disposal, a weapon so powerful that it had been held in reserve for just this moment. If he could deploy it in time, it would tip the scales in the Empire's favor. Leorian's hands trembled as he activated the Dominion's hidden weapon, a massive energy cannon capable of vaporizing entire ships. He aimed at the Eclipse, Earth's flagship, hoping to destroy it and end the war with a single shot. The energy built up, crackling through the air, but Sarah, always calculating, had anticipated this moment. As soon as the cannon powered up, she gave the order, "Move the Eclipse now." The flagship turned just in time. narrowly avoiding the blast. The energy beam sliced through space, narrowly missing the eclipse, and struck one of the Empire's own ships instead. The explosion was massive. A bright flash of light that lit up the battlefield. "Nice try, Admiral," Sarah muttered, her voice cold with resolve. "But we're not going down that easily." With the Dominion's weapon now disabled and the rest of the enemy fleet on the retreat, Sarah gave the final command, "Finish them off now." Earth's warships launched a final, coordinated attack. The energy from their ancient cannons poured into the Empire's ships, and one by one, the enemy vessels fell. The Dominion itself was surrounded, its engines powerless. It had been defeated. As the dust settled in space, Earth's fleet stood victorious. The once mighty galactic empire, with its vast fleets and unshakable confidence, had been dealt a crushing blow. And as Sarah Calloway looked out at the remnants of the Empire's forces, she knew this victory was more than just a battle won. It was a message. The galaxy would never forget Earth's strength, and it would never again underestimate humanity. The war was far from over, but Earth had proven its point. The galaxy had been shaken to its core, and it was only the beginning. The tides of battle war was far from over, but Earth had made its presence known in a way that the galaxy would never forget. With each passing battle, the tide shifted further in Earth's favor. The once unstoppable forces of the Galactic Empire now found themselves on the defensive, struggling to adapt to a war they were ill-prepared for. As Sarah Calloway stood aboard the Eclipse, watching the chaos unfold across the galaxy, she couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and concern. Earth had won multiple battles, but victory was never guaranteed. The galaxy was vast, and the empires that ruled it were powerful, resourceful, and desperate. They would fight back with everything they had. Commander Mendez called, his voice low but urgent. "We've received a transmission from the Galactic Council. They're requesting a ceasefire." Sarah's brow furrowed as she listened to the message. It wasn't unexpected. The galaxy's leaders were starting to realize the cost of underestimating Earth, but Sarah knew better than to believe this was a sign of peace. It was a ploy, a chance for them to regroup and re-strategize. "Tell them no," Sarah replied firmly. "We didn't start this war to back down. We don't negotiate with those who've spent centuries dismissing us." Her words were met with a ripple of agreement from her crew. They had seen what Earth was capable of, and they weren't about to give up now. Earth's power wasn't just in its ancient warships, it was in the people, the resolve, the drive to never be silenced again. But there was something else. She knew that they couldn't rely solely on their technological superiority. Earth had to stay one step ahead, always adapting, always learning. The galaxy wouldn't go down without a fight, and Earth's warships could only do so much. "We need to strike at the heart of their power," Sarah said, looking over the battle map. "Their fleets are disorganized, but their core worlds, those are where they still have strength. We need to hit them where it hurts." The plan was simple but risky. Earth's fleet would target the industrial planets, the heart of the galaxies, manufacturing and resources. If Earth could cripple these worlds, the galaxy's ability to wage war would be severely limited. The Eclipse and its companions would launch a series of pinpoint strikes, disabling factories, shutting down supply chains, and weakening the Empire's military infrastructure. The galaxy's supply lines had already been stretched thin, and this attack would push them over the edge. But Sarah knew the risks. These were critical planets for the Empire, and striking them would only escalate the war to new heights. The galaxy would retaliate, and they would retaliate hard. "We move at dawn," Sarah ordered. "The time for diplomacy is over. This war ends on our terms." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council was in crisis. Counselor Zarnuk had just received word that Earth's next target would be one of the Empire's largest industrial planets, Joverus Prime, a world that supplied much of the Empire's military hardware. "Do we just let them destroy our resources?" Counselor Tilla demanded, her sharp voice cutting through the room. "Earth's already taken down half our fleet, and now they're going after our heart. This is our last chance to stop them." Zarnuk paced back and forth, his fists clenched. "We've underestimated them, yes, but we can't back down. If they take Joverus Prime, they'll have crippled us completely. We have to protect it at all costs." The council was divided, with some factions advocating for a full-scale war, others urging caution. But Zarnuk knew they had no choice but to retaliate. "Prepare the defenses," Zarnuk barked. "We'll launch everything we have to protect Joverus Prime, and Earth will know that their victory was short-lived." As Earth's fleet approached Joverus Prime, the tension was palpable. The stakes had never been higher. This would be the turning point. If Earth succeeded in taking down the Empire's industrial heart, there would be no going back. The galaxy would be forced to confront the reality of Earth's power. "We're entering the system," Mendez reported, his fingers flying over the console. "The defenses are already mobilizing. We're not going to have the element of surprise for long." Sarah watched as the massive industrial planet came into view. Joverus Prime was a thriving hub of activity, its surface covered with sprawling factories and massive cities. The planet was a lifeline for the galaxy, and the Empire's best forces were positioned there, ready to defend it. Deploy the fleet, Sarah ordered, her voice steady despite the looming danger. We strike fast and hard. The Earth fleet surged forward, its ships moving with terrifying precision. Earth's warships darted through space, using their speed and agility to weave around the defenses. As they reached Joverus Prime, they launched a brutal, overwhelming assault. The massive cannons aboard the warships fired in rapid succession, creating explosions that rocked the surface of the planet. The industrial cities, once symbols of the Empire's strength, were reduced to rubble, but the Galactic Empire wasn't going down without a fight. The full might of their defense fleet appeared out of nowhere, forming a massive barrier around the planet. They came at Earth's fleet with full force, using their own weapons to strike back. The battle was fierce. Explosions lit up the space around Joverus Prime, with Earth's warships darting between enemy fire. For every enemy ship that fell, another seemed to appear. The galaxy had gathered its last reserves, and they were throwing everything at Earth's forces. But Earth's fleet was relentless, their attack fueled by the years of oppression, the years of being seen as weak. Sarah stood at the command center, her hands clenched at her sides, watching as her fleet continued to dismantle the defenses one by one. Don't let up, Sarah said, her voice filled with steely determination. We take Joverus Prime. We win this war. As the final blow was delivered, a series of energy beams tore through the remaining enemy ships, and the defense fleet was shattered. Joverus Prime lay in ruins, its factories burning. Earth had done it. The galaxy's industrial heart had fallen. The aftermath was silent for a moment. Sarah stood on the bridge of the eclipse, staring at the smoldering remains of the Empire's resources. The battle had been hard, but Earth had come out victorious. We've struck the heart of their power, Sarah murmured, her gaze unwavering. And they'll never be the same. The galaxy's response was inevitable. This was no longer a skirmish. It was total war, and the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Asterisk. The final push. Dust had barely settled from the destruction of Joverus Prime, but the repercussions were already being felt across the galaxy. The once imposing Galactic Empire had been dealt a blow unlike any other in its history. Earth's fleets had broken through the Empire's outer defenses, taken out critical manufacturing hubs, and sent shockwaves through the heart of their power. But now, Sarah Calloway knew, the galaxy would not give up without a final stand. In the war room aboard the Eclipse, Sarah and her commanders gathered to discuss the next phase. Their victory at Joverus Prime had turned the tide, but there was still much work to be done. Earth's fleet had proven itself superior in many ways, but the Empire had yet to unleash its full might. And Sarah wasn't about to take any chances. We've won battles, Sarah began, her voice steady and full of resolve, but we haven't won the war. The Empire will come at us with everything they have left, and we need to be ready. The faces around her were grim but determined. Lieutenant Mendez, General Torres, and the rest of the team had witnessed Earth's rise to power, but none of them were naive enough to think the victory was in the bag. The galaxy's empires might have been fractured, but the real test was still ahead. General Torres spoke up, his eyes hardening. The galaxy's response will be swift. We've already seen the beginnings of their retaliation. Their last fleet is assembling near Kataris, a key military stronghold. It's their last line of defense. If we strike now, we take them out for good. Sarah's mind raced. The Kataris system was home to some of the Empire's most powerful warships, and its defenses were nearly impenetrable. If Earth was to secure a final victory, this would be the moment that defined it. There was no turning back now. We can't afford hesitation, Sarah said. Prepare for the final push. We hit Kataris with everything we've got. At the far edge of the galaxy, the Galactic Empire had begun to regroup. The destruction of Joverus Prime had rattled the Council, but now, under the command of Admiral Leorian, the final fleet was ready to launch. The Empire's remaining forces had gathered at Kataris, their last bastion of strength. It was the final attempt to protect their remaining assets from the rise of Earth. Leorian stood on the command deck of the Imperium, the largest warship in the Empire's fleet. His face was drawn, wearied from the constant battle, but his resolve remained unshaken. He had lost many ships, but he wasn't going to lose Kataris. We will make our stand here, Leorian said, his voice low and commanding. Earth cannot be allowed to continue this madness. If we fall, the galaxy will fall. Prepare for the counterattack. As Sarah's fleet made its way toward the Kataris system, the tension in the command center was palpable. The final battle was approaching. Each warship in Earth's fleet was poised for the attack, its weapons systems primed and ready. But Sarah knew that this fight would not be won by firepower alone. Earth's fleets had superior speed and maneuverability, but the Empire's fleet outnumbered them. The real question was, who would have the courage to strike first? Launch all units, Sarah ordered. Her voice unwavering, we take Kataris in one move, we cripple them before they can react. With a deafening roar, Earth's fleet surged forward. Cutting through the darkness of space like a blade, the Eclipse led the charge, its powerful engines igniting. As it raced toward the heart of the enemy formation, the Empire's ships turned to face them, but the galactic forces were disorganized, their formations broken by the sheer speed of Earth's warships. The first volley of energy blasts tore into the Empire's defenses. The Eclipse fired its ancient cannons with surgical precision, targeting the flagship Imperium. The blast hit hard, causing the massive ship to shake violently. But the Empire wasn't ready to give up yet. The Imperium retaliated, unleashing a barrage of return fire, yet Earth's fleets were faster. They weaved and dodged, avoiding the incoming fire with expert maneuvering. As Sarah watched the battle unfold, she realized that Earth wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to prove their place in the galaxy. The battle raged on. A violent symphony of fire and explosions, Earth's ships moved as one, each strike coordinated with the precision of a master tactician. The Empire's forces, no matter how many ships they sent, were no match for the adaptability and ferocity of Earth's fleet. The Imperium took another blow, its shield failing under the pressure. We've broken their front lines, Mendez reported. We're moving in on Kataris now. It's only a matter of time before we take it. The final moments of the battle were brutal. The Empire's forces were crumbling, and the Imperium was all but destroyed. But Admiral Leorian had one last trick up his sleeve. A final desperate attempt to stop Earth's advance. With a single, defiant command, the Imperium fired its final weapon, a massive energy pulse that could destroy an entire fleet in one shot. The energy built up quickly, and Sarah watched as the deadly beam was launched at her flagship. The Eclipse. Time seemed to slow. The beam rushed toward Earth's warship. The Eclipse's systems flared, struggling to absorb the incoming energy. But Sarah wouldn't let her fleet be destroyed. Activate the shield, Sarah shouted, her voice filled with urgency. The Eclipse's shields flared into life just in time. Absorbing the brunt of the blast, the shockwave reverberated through the fleet, knocking several ships off course. But Earth's warships held strong. With one final strike, Earth's ships tore through the remains of the Empire's defenses, overwhelming the last resistance. The Imperium was destroyed, and with it, the last bastion of the galactic empires power. As the last of the Empire's fleet fell, Sarah took a deep breath, staring at the shattered remains of Kataris. The battle was over. Earth had done it. The galaxy had been rocked to its core. The Empire had fallen, and humanity had risen from the shadows to claim its place among the stars. The war was over, and Earth had won, but Sarah knew this victory would change everything. The galaxy was no longer the same. Earth had proven that it was no longer a small, insignificant planet. It was a force to be reckoned with. The question now was, how would the galaxy respond to this new power? Earth's journey was just beginning.